happened. The audio stopped processing correctly. For FL and 911. Good morning, Howard, and appreciate you being here. Got you checked in here on NetLogger, and thanks for the two emails and the links that you sent. Appreciate it. PY2 BBQ, I told you were trying to talk before. I was having some technical problems. Had to revisit the computer. Are you copying me? I see you're there. I wasn't able to copy. I got no audio on that last transmission on my end. This is AA4FL for the Marco Medical Image Radio Council digital voice app that is held every Saturday morning at 1500 UTC. That's the morning, depending on where you are. Occasionally we do have stations in Japan that actually are here the next day and they're here in the evening. And nice to have everybody with us. I hope to have an engaging conversation again today. Continue. Have a lot of very fast-moving events to occur. There's no one subject for yet. We are sort of the Medical Amateur Radio Council social coffee house where we talk about things that interest us in ham radio and our profession. Maybe let it drop one. Being that our net takes place on the quadhead array, and the quadhead array is a connection of networks and repeaters, so everything technically needs to sync for it to work properly, for all the transcoding to tower valve to work properly. So make sure not to tailgate after a transmission. Give a few seconds and punch your key after another few seconds before you talk, and things will work better, more efficiently, more effectively. Drop one. Before we start regular traffic for the net today, are there any stations that are here on an emergency basis that have emergency traffic for us? If so, go ahead and make your call. Okay, none here. I am monitoring the game window and instant message window on NetLogger. And I see now we have Steve K3FTT with us. I'm going to go ahead and log you in, Steve. Are there any stations that are here that are short on time, won't be able to stay the entire night? I'd like to check it now and make an announcement. If so, go ahead and make your call now. Well, none heard, so good news. Means you'll be able to stay with us. So far, I have AA4FL, WA1EXA, KA4UDX, PY2BBQ, N9OML, and K3FZT logged in. Are there any other stations that would like to log in at this time? Go ahead. WJZ. in 5 RTF.
W4 SWI Whiskey 4 Sierra Whiskey India.
Well, good morning to all three of you. I've checked in WJ8B and 5 RTF, W4SWI. Thank you for joining us today. Again, this is the Medical Amateur Radio Council Digital Voice Net. We are a group of members that have an interest in medical professions or health-related professions. Some of us are actually working in the field, a good majority of us, physicians, dentists, pharmacists, nurses across the board. No one profession within the health field, but we also have members that have an interest on the patient side. And welcome to participate in today's net. If you just like to listen to today's net and you don't want to be involved in the dialogue, that's fine too. Still an advantage to check in though and let me know just so we know and be there. And this is AA Fortify Met Control operating from Delray Beach, Florida today. Are there any additional check-ins? So go ahead and make your call now. Have you Okay, Jeff, WW9F, I see you there. I'm breaking up a little bit. Go ahead again, and let's make sure we're copying you properly, Bill. Jeff, I didn't hear anything this last time. Let us know later. We'll give you a chance to check in. I'm not sure if it's my end, your end, or I wasn't copying anything this last go around. I did see you come up on the net logger. We appreciate you being here today. This is AA Fortify with the Medical Amateur Radio Council, Digital Voice Net. Any other check-ins? If so, go ahead and make your call now. Okay, no additional check-ins. We'll give others a chance to later as that proceeds. Just to start the dialogue here, we spoke quite a bit about Omicron variant last week and had some very wise comments. It's worth to ring true here from some of the participants. It seems to be progressing in the public sphere here and following the characteristics that were anticipated by our members. So I'd like to hear a little bit from perspective of what's happening locally. We know Delta is a big threat right now, and it's consuming a lot of hospital space. And we haven't had it as much here in Florida. We're all, as Chip and Nolan says, we're all outside. But let's go ahead to the top of the list. Everyone here today, we'll just start the conversation.
Well, okay. If you want me to give first one. WA1EXA here, Mark, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Pretty cloudy here today. It's like it's supposed to get really warm here. Maybe get up to the high 50s if we're really going to extend this thing. And then we have some wind coming in tonight. They say 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, so it's going to get cold again. So just like New England, the weather keeps changing from one extreme to the other. No snow yet on the Cape, although we did have some snow in the state, on the western end of the state, and up north in New Hampshire. As far as the COVID situation, let me drop it one. As far as the COVID situation, it's pretty much as everybody hears. We've got a positivity rate about 5.2. Biggest problem seems to be in the school systems. We have a number of school systems that have been hit quite a bit, both with faculty and the students. Um, the hospitals are running about 80% of capacity, and some of the ICUs are full, but they're moving people around. Um, but other than that, I guess we're kind of holding our own. We don't know what's going to happen with the holidays coming up. Just like after Thanksgiving, we'll probably have another spike after Christmas and New Year's. But let's wait and see. Most people are wearing masks pretty much whenever people get together in an enclosed space. And the vaccine rate here is about 80% for everything. I think most of the vaccines have been relative to children right now. I think that's a bigger part. So that's kind of the overall, and I'll pass it along, and we'll see what else we talk about. A4, um, Jay, back to you. WA when you say.
Thank you for the report and your involvement, Mark. We appreciate you being here and for the times also that you serve as a backup net control. Yeah, well, it's interesting to talk about young people because there is no immunity, and you've got a variant here that apparently is easier to catch, but I've not known about it. But have to see what happens with the unvaccinated, very young, and even the less vaccinated children that are elementary level, the ones that have already gotten the vaccine, but maybe they've only got one dose, or they certainly haven't gotten the boosters yet. So we'll have to see as this unfolds. But any anticipation or thoughts on that as we go through the list today? Please bring up the subject. Uh, Alan, KA4UDX is here with us. Alan's coming in through DMR Plus. So I'm going to let Alan say hello, and maybe Chip, if Alan wanted to be involved in the dialogue, maybe you can just let N5RTF let Alan know the way that you're accessing the coordinate array. So let me give it to KA4UDX, and then we'll give it to Chip N5RTF. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, Roger. KA4UDX. Name is Alan. I'm in northeast Fort Lauderdale, which they now call Oakland Park. But I'm right over the line from Pompano Beach, Florida, so very north end of Fort Lauderdale, what it used to be. Anyway, COVID-19. It seemed like for a lot of the stores that I've been going into, a lot of people were not wearing masks because I guess the COVID percentage or whatever went down. I don't know what the numbers mean and all that, but a little 7-Eleven store, convenience store I'm going to, no one's hardly wearing masks anymore. And I haven't even gone in and out there without. Maybe it's because a lot of people think they got the vaccine and that solves the problem, but it doesn't seem to solve the problem. And now there's a new variant, and that throws another monkey in the wrench. So that's just my thoughts right off the top of my head. Not a medical expert or anything, and I haven't been vaccinated, by the way. And my girlfriend has, so and I seem to be okay at this point. KA4UDX.
Well, thank you for joining us here today. Northeast Fort Lauderdale. I'm Oakland Park, not very far from where I'm at. Past the Costa Turnpike here today, a little bit further west. I grew up in Florida. I'm from Miami originally, and live in Gainesville now. So, I guess the issue, Alan, is people been vaccinated, they assume they wear masks. We can talk about it today, but some of these initial reports that I've been reading say the vaccine is about 70% protective against getting disease at all from Omicron. But if you do exhibit symptoms, they're going to be a lot milder. So that's where they're at. I'm just not sure about the long-term implications of getting the virus. And here we have a new variant, so we really don't know enough either. Because there's a lot of other potential negative outcomes of just getting sick. And let Chef N5RTF just say hello to you, because Chef comes in different than the rest of us technically on the technical line. Chef, could you please explain what you access the Quanet N5RTF? Go ahead.
Well, good morning to Jay and the group. I'm using Yaesu System Fusion right now. I've got a Yaesu handheld, and I'm accessing through a hotspot here in my condo. Now, I'm also recording and streaming the net from a regular laptop using a dongle and a D-Store. So I've got two of the three modes going right now. We're in the French Quarter at this moment. When I go out to the house out on the water, I usually use DMR out there just because I've spread the radios out, and that's the one that I've got there. N5RTF.
Thank you for the report, Chip. Another Steve, K3FGT, last week you were coming in using a totally different approach. You were originating with an iPhone. Could you please describe to us what you were using and if you're still using that this week? Go ahead.
A4SL and the group. This is K3FZT. No, I just got into my shack barely in time for the start of the net, so I'm on my DV Megacast. But what I've been using is my ClearNode, which is ostensibly an All-Star and Echolink node built on a Raspberry Pi 3V Plus that also, through DV Switch, does digital modes transcoding from an analog input. So last week and in several previous weeks, I used the ClearNode transcoding to XLX307 or to Talk Group 31012 from a analog HT, and that's how I connected previously. Jay, my quick question: are you updating NetLogger? Because mine is just showing 3 logins. K3F said T.
QSL, thank you for pointing that out to me. I have been showing up on my computer, but now I see it's monitoring. I rebooted my computer when I logged in. I'm in the monitoring mode, so even though I'm entering them here, they're not coming. Let's see what we can do here. I don't know if we can change that to a logging function from the monitoring function. But I'll try, otherwise I'll restart the session. Thanks for letting me know that. PY2 BBQ. Hilton, go ahead.
Okay, I think you can hear me now.
I was transmitting before, but my Blue DV was jammed. This is PY2BBQ Hilton from São Paulo, Brazil. A few minutes ago, I was doing some QSOs in the 10 meters band. We were having the ARL 10 meters contest, and it started to open the propagation here in Brazil, and especially for CW. And every time I do so, the gadget I have here, it's a mixer and a preamplifier for the microphone to the computer. It turns off. It turns off. That's why you couldn't hear me in the first time. But good morning, everybody. Nice to be here with you this Saturday. Beautiful Saturday, sunny day here in São Paulo. The temperature here is 28 degrees centigrade. It's like 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Very blue sky and sunny day, beautiful day. I'm lighting up the charcoal for the barbecue. So that's the situation here. Wait one. Yes, I'd like to give you some report regarding the COVID-19 here in Brazil. What we see here is the new variant coming, the Omicron. But what we are noticing is that no case that was identified with the Omicron variant developed a severe, clinically severe COVID-19. They're all very light clinical cases. So there was a lot of preoccupation in the beginning, but it seems to be more infectious but less harmful, especially considering that most of the population here is fully vaccinated. We have more than 90% of the adult population fully vaccinated in São Paulo, and most of them in the rest of the country. So we are still seeing a drop in the number of new cases and a drop in the number of deaths as well. It's less than less than 200 deaths daily, which is the same number we had in the very beginning of the pandemic in last year in February or March here in Brazil. So it seems to be very well handled. We had a great discussion this week here in Brazil because of this new variant. We had a recommendation from our FDA agency. It's called Anvisa. It's not only food and drug, but they also make the health surveillance, and they suggested the health ministry to restrict the entrance of non-vaccinated people in Brazil in the airports. That was a great discussion. Wait one. As I was saying, that was a great discussion here, and the final decision was that the Brazil would not obligate people to be vaccinated to enter here, but it was imposed a period of quarantine, like many other countries does. And as we do not obligate Brazilian people to get vaccinated, we could not obligate foreigners to be vaccinated to enter Brazil, but they needed to prove that they were not carrying the virus. So that's the situation here. Back to you, JA4FL, PY2BBQ, over.
Well, thank you for the information, Hilton, and thanks once again for recording and being here. And have a great weekend. And hello now, Howard. Go ahead.
Good morning again, Jay, and everybody on the net. It's dark, it's gray, it's windy, looking about 50-mile-an-hour winds later. Now, rain, snow, so it's getting into winter in Chicago. Basically, I guess I know real new news regarding COVID activity in Illinois. The numbers that we discussed, the trends just continued. The only new thing is one of the counties declared an actual disaster declaration and asked for assistance. But Chicago put out in one day that they had about a 79% increase in disease cases. But basically more of the same. And I know back to that control.
Thank you, Howard. I know we just had this conversation 7 days ago. It hasn't been much time that's passed. I imagine every week we're going to have more and more to talk about in that regard. So what's going on, at least with Omicron. But as Mark recently said also earlier, that there'll be everyone getting and socializing for the holidays. So it's going to be a high concentration of people interacting. May not take as long as we think to get spread if there's some kind of a preference or ability of this to supersede Delta. And I think, as Chip said last week, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Chip, but if it's less virulent and it's got a reason to do so because you don't want to kill the host and the virus, you wouldn't survive. K3 FCT. Steve, go ahead.
AA4FL and the group, this is K3FZT. So, a couple of things here. First off, I want to take 1 minute to tell everybody about the best piece of ham gear I've acquired in recent months. Wait for it. Yes, it's the Patagonia Work Blue Jeans. Why is it a great piece of hand gear? Because there's this fifth pocket on the right leg. So I guess if you're a left-hander, maybe not so great. Which they sell, of course, for their audience to carry a cell phone. But guess what? My Yaesu FT5B with signal stick, a long, very flexible rubber ducky, but, much more flexible antenna, along with the plug for the speaker mic. The whole thing fits perfectly in that pocket, and I carry my phone elsewhere most of the time anyway. So just thought I'd tell you about that new piece of hand gear. I'm really loving carrying my FT5B with me all over the place, and here are my local repeaters. Wait one. Okay, after that reset, on to business. Case rates in Philadelphia are up 71% over the last 2 weeks. And deaths are up 17%. I've seen some preliminary data suggesting that following, and I think this was from the Brits, a third dose of BioNTech Pfizer vaccine or a third dose of BioNTech Pfizer vaccine, a dose of BioNTech Pfizer vaccine after 2 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine give approximately the same 72 to 75% vaccine effectiveness is the measure that I saw used in this tweeted abstract. The author acknowledged the wide confidence intervals. Beyond that, I'm really don't have much else to offer here. Let's just say I was personally surprised and upset by the front page of the newsletter, and I'll leave it there. This is K3F ZT.
Okay, Steve, I got a copy of the Ether. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I saw a listserv post. Somebody hit on Earth. It's a controversial subject in the Ether this time. Steve, K3FCT, AA Force on that control line.
Well, I really didn't intend to get into the discussion here, but let's just say, and this is solely my perspective, the best thing about getting to my age is others constantly teach me and bring more light and awareness. But it was not a scientific article. It was, in my view, a conspirator's screed, and not suitable for publishing in the ether, whether on the first page or on any page. I think Dr. Small's response was entirely necessary and well written, and a good source to access scientific information on what's a difficult topic. That's all I have to say on the matter. K3F said City.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll take a look. I've been so consumed with moving all the family here, I haven't had a chance to look at the Ether yet. I'm starting to consider the February issue, and I was considering for the group and give you comments on it. Perhaps it's National Mental Health Month. So it might be a good month. I don't think we've ever had an Ether dedicated to dentistry. And the technology of dentistry would be a follow-up to the last Ether I did. There's a lot of new technologies, CAD/CAM manufacturing, 3D printing, dentistry is using it all. Well, frustrating when I was in practice because the economy of scale for a small office to make it do it all affordable. That's what I plan on doing. So hopefully that won't, we'll get some people to write articles too.
My two youngest grandchildren, girls, one is 4.5, one is 11 months. They kept my life to be very, very good. Only on the radio briefly. I did have my KCFD3 with me, so the top three, briefly on that. Night was my East Coast that's 9 p.m. That's better time than Los Angeles. As far as Philly here in Ohio, break has gone up. It's predicted for the holiday season. Most all of it is Delta, and nearly all of the deaths, one death out of 1,500 deaths reported. Somebody who was vaccinated, the rest were kind of the overwhelming majority of those utilizing hospital services unvaccinated as well. Rates have gone up a little bit on vaccination. There's still not anybody here what should be really in the world. That's all I have this morning. Back to you, Jay, from DJ.
Well, welcome back from the West Coast. Glad you got to see your family, and glad to have you back here on the net. And always a pleasure having you involved. Chip and 5RTF, go ahead.
I don't know that I have a whole lot to add. I have not read the new ether, although I saw some of the communication on the listserv. So I'll probably pull that out and read it today. Our civilization is a big, complicated issue. I visualize it as a big game of Jenga, in which you can sometimes pull pieces out and nothing happens, but you never know which of those pieces is the big one, and that'll make the whole thing come tumbling down. And I think over the last 100 years, we have just been merely pulling pieces out with little forethought, and I think we should be a whole lot more concerned about what we do to our civilization, because something we may just accidentally stumble on the piece that can't be replaced. N5RTF.
Thank you, Chip. You always bring wisdom to the discussion. Wise sage you are. Thank you for being here. Again, today there's a number of Marco members that I could listen to all day long. Chip tends just to have brevity, but if he would speak for an hour, I'd listen for an hour with a smile on my face all the time. Thank you for being here. W4SWI, go ahead. Okay, Chad. We'll come back to you on the next go around if you're here. WW9F, Jeff, go ahead. Hello, Jay, and everyone on the net. I want to first check and make sure you can copy my audio. Am I coming through now? QSO, do copy you, Jeff. Go ahead. Well, that's great. I'm not sure what happened before, but I'm glad it seems to be working now. I've noticed quite a lot of audio drops on my end this morning. I'm not sure what accounts for that. However, I don't have much to add in terms of local news. It's pretty much the same, it seems, for the Midwest and Northeast. I get a lot of my news from friends of mine in the epidemiology world, and what they are expecting is this winter a surge within a surge. They see Delta continuing to surge, and there's lots of evidence of that in wastewater studies, which tend to be a good indicator of what awaits us clinically. They see Omicron coming in as the surge on top of the surge, with an expectation that Omicron may overtake Delta during the winter months, as was already indicated. Wait one. We're waiting to find out how pathogenic Omicron is in the United States. There have been early indications from elsewhere. This was noted in Brazil, South Africa, that Omicron might be less severe, but it's not clear yet whether that same impact will be experienced here, given the difference in populations in terms of age distributions and the experience we've had with prior waves of the virus. So we're waiting to see. Other than that, it's getting colder here, except that this coming week it's getting quite warm. Week one. We're experiencing an unusual uptick in the temperature, however, that's brought a wave of tornadoes through the southern part of this state. Kentucky, as I'm sure you've heard about, and Arkansas. That's about the news from up here today. Back to that. This is WW9. Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Jeff. The tornadoes, I did see that earlier on the news, and for those of you that may have not been aware of that, that's a serious issue overnight. QEA1EXA, AA4FL, go ahead.
I don't know if this is really a follow-up topic. I just want to remind everyone at the end of the year, I believe it's the time we pay dues. So that's coming up. I know both Marco and my local ham radio club, and it seems like everybody is at the same time of the year. So January seems to be the time to pay ham radio dues. As far as the article, I was surprised. Let's put it this way, that article was published. But that's my only comment. I guess the big question is going to be, because what we're seeing is what has been put on, has been said. The morbidity of the disease seems to be not as great as it has been in the past. People are sick. I mean, we've had deaths. We've had friends that have had relatives die here, but it doesn't look the same as it was when this all started. So, while it seems to be more effective and more widespread and spread easier, I don't see where it's as bad as it has been. Now, that's maybe just grasping at straws. I don't know. So you wait when you say.
AA4FL, no, it's consistent with the reporting. We'll have to see as time goes on. And there was one follow-up on the college football front. That we finally got Cincinnati in the Final Four there. So Andy is, at least didn't get Ohio State this year, but got Cincinnati in there. Andrew, congratulations. I'm sure they'll do a good job. And gargantuan task, but they're beating Notre Dame, so they can certainly capable of doing so. Andrew, we had speaking University of Cincinnati, an MD PhD student write in asking if we knew any organizations in the area that her interest was emergency communication and amateur radio medicine. And do you know anybody in the Cincinnati area that might be a physician interested in emergency communications? Go ahead.
No, I'm not aware of that. I of course went to the University of Cincinnati and graduated medical school. That was between 1974 and 1978. There is one physician here in the Columbus area because we're patients running with it. I don't often was all kind of had working on radio for 7 years. but I knew it's still around. I wasn't sure whether it's still working. But that's the only one that I'm interested in.
Well, I guess it's an interesting coincidence that this young lady wrote us on December 10th, just hours before those tornadoes. Being Cincinnati's really close to the area where the tornadoes came through, or fairly close. I imagine that her desire to do emergency communications and medicine is a very timely subject these days. WJD, AA4.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I was close to that. Because they had major damage in Cincinnati. I just woke up this morning to find out. It basically went up the Ohio River and Illinois and Kentucky and over parts of Indiana. And the storms were in Cincinnati. We had some minor here. I think they from WK.
Yeah, if the medical school is anything like the University of Florida is, they have a lot of affiliation with rural entities. I mean, there's other schools in the area that might be more appropriate for that. But at least when I answer her, I'll be able to pick up the subject. So I think she's wise and wanting to get involved. It's nice to hear from her, and I will respond to her today. It just came in. Just recent. We do occasionally get emails from interested young hams, and that's why it's very difficult to have negativity out in the public venue, whether it be on the listserv or about our ether articles. We got a couple of those this year. It does tend to make individuals disenchanted and maybe have a very positive outlook initially. We've had a few members fit that category. That were fairly interested and active and disengaged after some negativity. So, but we're a big organization and we're vibrant and we have people from all backgrounds and you're gonna ruffle feathers occasionally, but perhaps the current issue that we were talking about with ether is just something that's more naivete than anything else. Life isn't always intentional. I'll look at it too, but sometimes when you see an article, unless you're savvy, you may not realize you're repeating something that really has no foundation. So it's hard to be impartial. So I like the I'm going to drop one. AA4FL for ID net control for the Medical Image Radio Council. That's why I like having an online digital edition because what happens is we distribute that for review. So it's not exactly peer reviewed in a classical sense. It's not necessarily a scientific journal, but when you're using a newer technology like that, it's easy to just send a pre-issue copy, let people look it over and check it for typos, but also for content appropriateness because no one individual represents an organization. But if you're older school and didn't do it that way, and you can make a mistake when you don't have somebody else giving you perspective. So it doesn't mean it's negative or intentional. I'll read the issue and see what that was about too. N5RTF, Jeff, is that what you're perceiving here? Over.
Yeah, I look forward to reading the article and seeing what actually was said. But one thing that I've always been impressed with, I've been a member of Mensa for about 30 years, and every issue of their excellent monthly magazine has a statement in it that none of the articles or comments or letters represent the position or opinion of Mensa. Mensa has no opinions. And maybe that's a stance that we should take. Marco has no opinions. N5RTF.
Yeah, it's definitely safe. At the top of the pages, I think the issues lighting page 3, there is a comment that says, all the links are not the responsibility of Marco, but the choice of the editor. So, yeah, maybe I need to change that to make it a more blanket disclaimer. What do you think, Over?
K3F ZT.
Go ahead, Steve, K3FZT.
Thanks for allowing me to butt in. Two things. Jay, I can't recall whether it's the front cover or the back cover, but there's a listing of the various Marco radio frequency activities, nets and such, and perhaps my state, I overlooked it, but I did not see the digital voice net that we are participating in now included in that listing. So, for those who might be sensitive, it was another opportunity to feel disregarded. And it's my view that statements that an organization is not responsible for the views published in its owned organ, such as the Ether, owned by Marco, that such statements are legalistic and bureaucratic, but not meaningful, providing a forum for misinformation. And I'm not speaking to the particular article, I'm simply saying providing a forum for misinformation or other allowed, quote-unquote, free speech is, in effect, supporting those views, unless you constantly have an open door for anything and everything, which is pretty hard for a private organization to manage. But that's one man's opinion. 73, everybody. I'm going to sign. I wish you all the very best of 73's health and happiness in the days and weeks ahead, particularly at the upcoming Christmas season, and all good wishes in the new year. I will be in Hawaii for 2 months starting January 2nd. Since it will be 4 a.m. when this net convenes, I will not be participating until mid-March. Take care. This is K3FZ. Clear.
Hi, Howard. And I wasn't sure. I was having technical problems, and I came out of the program and came back in here. Hearing you perfectly. Go ahead.
N4 TSC.
Hi, Jerry. Good morning. Let Howard pick it up, and I'll be here for you, Jerry. And I know, Howard, go ahead.
Hey, Jay, I don't know how much got through. I was chuckling because just letting you know that it did get through at night, and I heard you say goodbye and close to that. And for anyone that's still listening, it should go. The phrasing is "Go Navy, beat the Army" today.
Okay, I'm glad we have a game to watch. What type of season are they both having this year?
It doesn't matter for Army and the Navy. I think it's 8-3 versus 3-8. But since the season is secondary to the one game, it just didn't work out okay.
Of course, it's quite an annual event. So is that the game played in Philly, or am I conflating my games?
It very traditionally is, but they may be playing in Annapolis this year. With COVID and stuff and the restrictions on where they go and all that kind of stuff, I thought I may have read that they're going to be in Annapolis. But yeah, traditionally it's in Philly and it's a big deal. It's a good rivalry weekend for me because we got the Bears playing the Packers Sunday night. Likely to be another slaughter for my team, but still, something to do.
Oh my gosh. Well, you do have some good games to watch this weekend. Bears fans are Bears fans, and whether or not you're going to lose, it's still fun to watch. It's community event. I haven't been to Soldier Field. I've been on the grounds area, but I've never gone to a game. I do remember right after, I think 9/11, I might have been up in the John Hancock building at a time when it was, where Sears Tower, when it was a flyover there. It was weird seeing planes from above looking down on them. But, I used to spend a lot of time in Chicago because I had a position in the American Ball Association, a volunteer council position. Over.
Yeah, Chicago's a good town. We're having our issues like every other city now, but it's a good town to come from. But anyways, mostly I realized you were greeted with silence after you closed up and said you'd be listening for personal, and I figured I'd at least let you know that your message got through. We're not just all stuck.
Well, thank you for letting me know. Appreciate it, and for all your involvement. And the email support as well. If I accidentally hit the space bar and shut it off. I'm going to pick up Jerry, M4TSC as well, Howard. Jerry, go ahead.
Okay, good morning, Jay. I just wanted to let you know that there was a conflict. I have a sense of priorities of certain things that happen, and at 10 o'clock there was the launch of the Blue Origin spacecraft, and I was very much interested in that because of one of its passengers, which was Strahan from the New York Giants, and I was curious as to how this thing was going to transpire. Plus, I have divided interest because my granddaughter is visiting and she's crawling around the floor. And so it wasn't until about 10:30 that I was able to join the net, and I heard Steve, K3FZT, make his comments. Wait one. And ultimately, he came back a second time and started talking, and I was trying to monitor the Marco audio feed, and I discovered that you were talking and he was talking at the same time. I was copying Steve on the DMR radio, and I was copying you over the internet through the Marco audio, and neither of you could hear each other, and he just went on, and he ended just about a moment or two after you said 73. The comment that I would make about the article is that this was clearly not a peer-reviewed article. This was something that was written not by a physician, but by a lawyer, Abigail Schreier, who was a Jewish doctor, not Jewish, but a jurist doctor. And I think that the article was extracted and intended to raise awareness of an area that in medicine we do not talk about, or at least I had no experience dealing with
when I went to medical school and I was not aware of this issue. It was, what is gender dysphoria? And it went through an explanation from a legal perspective. And therefore, I think the article was published simply to say, hey guys, let's maybe be aware of this, and this is a food for thought. I can't say I agree with the conclusions that were pointed to. However, it does raise awareness, and that I think was what the purpose of putting that article in. Back to you, Jay. AA4FL and 4TSC.
Okay, I'll get to it. I'm so busy. Warren sent me not only, one copy, he sends me 3 of them for the handcuffs, so I'll get a chance to look at it. Haven't spoken to him lately. Spoke to Harry a couple of times, so I know Harry talks to Warren quite a bit. But Harry, of course, very appreciative of everything you do to help us into that. N4TSC, AA4FL.
Yeah, AA4FL and 4TSC. Yeah, I've tried to continue on with the Wednesday nets, except that it's either because of the flare-up that transpired that you're aware of, or because of lack of good propagation. I haven't hooked up with him in the last few weeks on the 40-meter net. However, I have been available and I've tried, and I thought maybe he decided that because of the switch from daylight time to standard time that he would make it an hour earlier. So I actually tried switching my time and doing it that way, and we haven't hooked up yet. But one of these days we will, and we'll continue. I have a whole bunch of observations about what's happening between Delta and the Omicron variation, and it looks like the comments that I made last week are probably headed in the right direction. AA4FL and 4TSC.
Oh, remind me of that, please, Jerry. Go ahead.
Well, the comments that I made last week were that if you look at the history of problems that we've had in the past, whenever we've had an epidemic, the tendency is for the epidemic to produce less virulent forms of changes. They may be more contagious, but they are less virulent, and therefore the viability of the virus from a teleological point of view is best when it doesn't kill off its host, and therefore we look like we're headed in that direction with this new variation. That was what my comment was. Back to you.
QSL, I do remember you making them now. The virus has a desire to survive, so most of the mutations, you don't want to keep on killing the host. There won't be anybody left to replicate your virus. Understood. Well, I got Dustin's moving up today. I got to get him in the car. His mother told me she wants to let from Gainesville by 5, so I got to get going here. But I got the daughter up there, and my father-in-law is Monday. My Odyssey's already loaded. I don't know how I'm going to get anything else in there, but I think I'll have room for him. I'll leave some things behind here and get him on my next trip down here. But we won't be here as much. If he comes along, who knows? I always have family who like to come to town. I prefer they come here to South Florida than I'd rather them up north. And we've got a nice trip out of it. But I'm not going to keep the conversation for long because unfortunately I have to have that time constraint. enjoy your granddaughter. You have plenty of reason to get off the air here too as well. But thank you for taking the time to come on, Jerry. And for TSC, AA for us all.
For TSC.
Thank you, Jerry. So, I'm not planning on selling the place here. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not one for making rash decisions. Give it a year and see how much we use it. I have a feeling we're still going to enjoy it. And if we did do anything, maybe like a 5-month rental, seasonal rental, keep it for the rest of the year. So agree, Jerry. AA for us. I'm going to be doing George.
Yeah, very good, Jay. And as it turns out, it may turn out that I may be doing what you've been doing in reverse, because my daughter is imminently going to take on a job that may require her to deal with the issue of our 16-month-old right now, and that may require us to actually move up to Winter Garden, at least for a period of time till we get the youngster beyond 2 years and beyond the risks from COVID before. So we may be doing what you're doing, sort of a mini version in reverse. Anyway, 73.
Sounds interesting. I look forward to hearing more about that in the near future. But I'm going to run for now. AA 4773 QRT.
73, Jay.